everyone, my name is Willy Pang and I will explain our project coding from line 1 to 16. So first we import the pygame and random package, and then we call the pygame.init function to initialize all imported pygame modules. We also call the pygame.time.clock function and set it to the clock variable and reset the FPS to 60 to make sure the game can run properly on any device. After that, we start setting up the screen width and height, set the caption, define the font and the color for the font, and the other game variables. We also add sound for the jump and score, and the picture for background, ground and button. After we already setting up the variables, now we start creating the function for outputting text onto the screen. The name of this function is draw_text. This function is include image variables, and the value of this variable is font.render. This variable is to render the text to the pygame, and then we call the screen.blip. The screen.blip is to outputting the text to the screen. After creating the drawText function, now we create the resetGame function. This will use when we click the restart button, it will reset the game. The building_group.empty function is to empty the building, and the global building_gap, this is to get the building gap variable into the resetGame function, and then we set the building gap back to 170. We reset the bird back to the first position and set the score to 0 and return the score variable.
This is where we put the group and the position where we put the group. This is the class for the bird that will be the main class that you can use. Pygame.sprite means we are using the function from pygame that is usually used so you can make an object classified as a character. This class has an animation. We use the self.index, self.counter, self.image, which is different from self.images because self.images is just a place where we can scroll through the images that we give it, and self.image is a variable where we display the images that is rolling from self.images. Self.flag is just a position so we can give to the class. Self.val is what we use gonna be used in gravity section that will be explained by Aristo. In the program, self.click equal false is so we can make the code when we hold the mouse button, it will only click once. And of course, it's not just the self.click equal false that made it possible, so we will cover that later in the later section. And yeah, next one will be go to Aristo.
My task is explain gravity. This is the gravity section that Rickson was talking about it in this section. I made it so if flying is false, then gravity won't affect it, since I want it to stay in the middle of the screen. And we made it so self.val will only when to act and limit it. And we add another if function where if it touches at the ground, it will stop at the ground. Next is jump. Same concept as the gravity section where we made it so it only runs when the game is running. This is where we add the release function that Rickson was talking about how we want to make it. So it only jump once and not every second we are holding the mouse. Next one is animation. This section handle the animation which you can see we use the self.counter. Rotate the plane using pygame.transform.rotate is a function from pygame where we can rotate the bird however we like, but for our function we We made it so when we click the screen it will rotate a bit, and when we hit the ground it will make it so it rotates 30 degrees.
This code here is the building class, which means even though it don't seem like it, the scoring building is a chapter because we use player game point sprite. The only notable thing in this code is the player game point transform point flip, which is the top building in this game. And dev update is to make sure if the building exists, the game will delete itself so the game don't crash its player for a long time.
So I'm gonna explain how to add a score counter on this game. So I'm just gonna display the code right here, and I also make a text explanation with a green color in case you guys don't understand what this function for. So let's just begin. So this function right here is where we add our Pygame event, which means if we do something like Pygame mouse button down, it will run the program that we import. So for the next function right here, I used to make the game harder the more we make a progress, so the game doesn't become boring because it's too easy. And for the next function, I used to make a game over screen display when we hit an obstacle, so we have to restart or replay the game. And for the next function, I used to make high score doesn't change every time we play, so the high score only change when the score more than high score before. And for the next function, this code is to check if both sprites have collided, and if it does, then the game will end. So for the next code right here, I used to end the game when the bird touches the ground. And for the next code, I used to reappearing the building. And for the Pygame time get ticks is a code that we use to check if it's the right time to appear the building. And for the building head equal random reading, I used to make the building gap different every time we pass the building. And for the next code, I used to adjust the speed for the ground animation of scrolling. And the last code, I used to keep updating the building so the building not keeps the same all the game. So for the code side here, I used to check if the bird has passed through the building. This is what gonna be interesting. Why? Because we have to make it if the bird enter the building by passing the left side of the building, so the past building become true. And when the bird leaves the right side of the building, the function become false. And the score counter is gonna be +1. And if the function that if past building equals true is the key, so the score doesn't keep increasing and only increase if the bird passed through the building. So for the next code right here, I'm gonna explain what they are used to. Bleed mean a block transfer, which means it will transfer this block to the game so it will appear, and clock is just so the program can run it at 60 frames per second. And for the next code, I used to make the bird appear, the animation start, and the building start. And for the last code, I used to drop scroll background, same as background but for the ground function.
This syntax is how we create the restart button instance. Class button have two functions, it is init function and draw functions. The init function is to set the default position for the button, and the draw function is to check mouse over and click a button and load the button to the screen. After we create the class for the button, now we create the button and set the position for the button.